Muscat, Galloway. Tomorrow morning at 8:37, 9:07 in Newfoundland, and on the CBC Listen app.
Hello, I'm Andrew Chang. Tonight on The National, outside of Canada, the coronavirus is moving fast. So how prepared is this country? What your family, your work, and your government should be doing so we're ready. Join us for The National tonight at 10:30 in Newfoundland on CBC Television.
From CBC News, The World This Hour, I'm Tom Harrington. Protests continue over Indigenous rights across the country. Attempts to disrupt rail and freight traffic have not abated. Signs of a breakthrough were dashed this evening with word that a meeting between ministers and hereditary chiefs for tomorrow was just canceled. A disappointing end to another frustrating day. Greg Rasmussen reports.
A few dozen people from the group Indigenous Youth for Wet'suwet'en gathered earlier today on the steps of the BC Legislature in Victoria. One of the speakers, Takaya Blaney, said what started as opposition to a pipeline has sparked a much wider fight.
We Indigenous youth and Indigenous peoples all over this country and all over this world are taking our power back.
End up with a bit of wood left over. So.
You got enough wood?
I think so. I've been offered some wood. But it's nice to be outside, nice to have some sun again. Oh God, the rain was hard on the site.
I think it's an American dipper, and it's doing it. If you come over, you can do it. Come on through. There's a, and it goes in the water like this. And it, look at the little, it's like dipping itself. Yeah. Does this little dance in the water. The dipper dance. It's a dipper dance. sometimes, occasionally, just the title of something will come to me. And then from there, it's like, okay, well, it wants to be created, so
Yeah.
out it comes, you know. When the time is ripe, it's got to ripen a little bit inside you,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I'll try and speak up. I have such a light voice. I'll try and speak up though so you can hear. To follow wild water. Before you begin to follow, you can hear it. Great veins of white against stark browns and green. A tumultuous tipping and purging of waters being dispensed through all the furrows and edged planed groves of rotting tree stumps fallen over decades ago. Nothing is forgotten when you follow wild water. Your own body begins to purge as every muscle strains to keep up with the ascent to a source. The water is talking and presenting itself in bowing arc and temples, pools buried in rock and moss forest green beauty. Your eyes are lost in the layers. Intricate threaded feathered lichens, green mossy underbellies, rock embellished sad faces. Tall, formidable stands of second growth, healthy, vigorous, erect. A feverish dance takes hold of your limbs as you climb between worlds, each makeshift happening, root and branch placed in no order, conglomerate placement of wind-shaken downfalls, broken and reefed from the underground into large webbed caves of earth smells and tangled masses of roots and scree. As the water makes haste, so is the place in you that draws closer. The map of one's own making is somehow placated in the movements you disown. As they too fall with the wild water and you begin to transform. Each revelation and offering of the landscape is the terrain of one's own body and soul. The holy place where the heart resides. There is no question of how you belong. Wild water is pulling itself tighter, as if to humble its nature. You notice your own reverence and slightly bow in every direction, as if it just happens through the gravity of your body, stripping the sheath and fragments that conceal your own dormant truth. That like the wild water, you too are from the complete source that is shared between the counterparts that make up its whole. From the tears that come to your eyes, the ocean's navel, to the wild tributaries and salmon streams, we must listen first to the roar in the silence. It is a song alive in each of us. Just walk a little bit further down.
BC government later obtained an injunction against protesters after a major highway in the Victoria area was blocked. Elsewhere, demonstrators continued to target rail traffic. In Tyendinaga, Ontario, debris was thrown and a fire lit next to a passing train. Federal Transport Minister Marc Garneau says the economic costs are mounting.
It is having an impact right now in terms of people losing their jobs, in terms of the scarcity of certain products.
Meanwhile, there's little new action in terms of talks that would end the ongoing protests. Greg Rasmussen, CBC News, Vancouver.
Public Security Minister Bill Blair says there is no need for new legislation to punish the protesters. Yesterday, Alberta introduced its so-called Bill 1 that would introduce harsher penalties for those blocking critical infrastructure, such as railway lines.
Now, I am familiar with that law, and those things are already against the law in the Railway Act, in the Criminal Code, and in the judgments that have been issued in various jurisdictions across the country. And so those matters, I'm not sure how you make something that's already contrary to law, more contrary to law.
Blair says the developments of the last few days have shown police are doing their job in enforcing the laws. The World Health Organization says more than 36 countries are reporting confirmed cases of COVID-19. For the first time, there are more new cases being reported outside China than inside. The quickly evolving situation has forced Canada to change its messaging.